Hello everyone, welcome back to Voidheart Studios, and today I'm doing yet another Super Nostalgia review. What is a Super Nostalgia review? A Super Nostalgia review is like a nostalgia review, but super. Basically it's a regular nostalgia review that follows my nostalgia review format, except rather than being an N-Strike or Elite era blaster, or really just anything that's discontinued, this one specifically focuses on vintage blasters. And you're going to see a lot more of these coming in the future, because I got a big vintage haul coming in this week. So, yeah, be prepared for probably a month and a half's worth of vintage blasters. I'll probably sprinkle in some other videos in between there, but why not? So, let's get on to today's Super Nostalgia review. The Nerf Max Force Stinging Scarab. The Stinging Scarab was released in 1995 as part of the Nerf Max Force series and was made by Kenner. Now, originally I looked at the little, I called it a tramp stamp, but the little like stamped embossed plastic on here, and it says Hasbro Inc. Now, Hasbro Inc. I was confused about, because I had been told by like everybody on the internet, like, no, Hasbro didn't make Nerf blasters until 2003. Yeah, they didn't. So why is the Hasbro insignia on a Kenner blaster? That's because, and I didn't know this at the time, Hasbro owned Kenner. Hasbro bought out Kenner Toys in 1991. So yeah, that's a little interesting thing. So if you see a vintage Nerf blaster that says Hasbro Inc., it was made by Kenner. But yeah, let's start out with the overview now. Starting up at the front, you have these two little front legs. They do kind of move funky. And then underneath it, you have the dart post. This does fire off of a post and not through a barrel, so you will have the same issues with modern darts as you will see in the firing demo. Going back from there, you have the second pair of legs, which are dart holders. They have little posts on them, so you can just hold darts on them, which is kind of cool. Going back from there, you have the grip, which is neatly folded up to display this blaster's very buggy form. You open it up, and it's a very uncomfortable grip. Going back from there, you have the rear legs, which, you know, they're just plastic. They don't move or do anything cool. And then back here, you have the priming handle. Now, the priming handle primes the blaster. This is a pullback and release blaster. It's like the Silly Butts PBR bow, or the Strata bow, or the Thunder bow, you know. A lot of, like, a pullback and release blaster. So how you work this blaster is you pull back the priming handle, which, really cool, it makes the beetle's wings open and the front legs open, and then you let go, and that fires the dart, and then the legs and the wings and all that snap shut. Now, you're meant to hold it by this grip, but I don't like this grip, so you can hold it by the blaster. The legs and wings opening is not a part of the action, so I can pull this back just fine, and I'm not breaking anything internally. So I find holding it like this or like this a lot more comfortable. And like, yeah, the legs don't have to open for the action to work as well. So, and yeah, that's really all I have to say for the overview. Let's go see the bug out. Alright, we're out on the range with the Stinging Scarab. Let's fire this thing. I'm gonna hold it by the grip for the first few shots, but I might not for the whole firing demo. For too long in the firing demo. Alright. go. Alright. I forgot to say it, but those were vintage micro darts. Let's try some nitro shot darts. Hopefully they won't kill themselves. Blow out. No one's sliding on the post a little easier. Blow out. These things are really like designed for barrels, not. I'm not going to put it on the post as far. When you don't put it on the post as far, you get terrible range. Alright. One more. Please no blowout. Oh, Alan fires. It was probably a blowout. Alright. Next up we got Dart Zone Waffle Darts. And I can actually fully see this one. Alright. Screw the grip. I'm starting to hurt. That was a blowout. Okay. Trying to find the rip. Oh, yep, there it is. Probably not a good idea to full post modern dart. There we go. That shot good. Particularly accurate today. And now we've got the darts that these blasters seem to like the best, which are X-Shot air pocket darts. I say that and then proceed to have a blowout. Okay. Let's try not full posting it this time. There we go. Arc this one a little bit. We got a blowout. I think I got more blowouts than I did non-blow. Did I get a blowout? Did this one blow out? Yeah. Is this dart just really suck? Ooh. That's our first instance of a decap. You know what? I'm just going to go for another round of the vintage darts, because these seem to be actually working. Oh, I hit the table. Don't worry, it's not gunshots, it's fireworks. I'm recording this on the 4th of July. Aw. Right. And I overshot it. A little bit lower in angle? No. Well, whatever. This thing is really janky anyways. So, yeah. That was the Stinging Scarab firing. Let's go back inside and talk about it. Alright, we are back inside with the Stinging Scarab. Let's talk about it. Starting off with the practical stuff. FPS. I was not able to get chronograph results with this blaster because with it being a pullback and release blaster, I can't keep it stable enough to fire through the very rather tight opening of my airsoft chronograph, and so it just would herp derp. If I could get a dart in there, it would bang around in the walls and make the machine start herp derping. I really need to get a new chronograph at some point. But I'm sure it's in line with any other vintage micro dart blasters, maybe a little less powerful. Maybe probably shooting in the high 40s of FPS rather than the low 50s like something like the Secret Shot did. But yeah. And of course, it's a single-shot blaster. Single-shot blasters are more practical than you think. You do just have to take into account reload time. Now, let's talk about ergonomics. This is a thin ridge of plastic that you have to put your fingers around and hold tension on. This is a thin ridged piece of plastic that has to be pulled in tension by your other hand. This blaster is kind of uncomfortable to use, as much as I hate to say it. Like, it's a fine blaster. Like, if I'm holding it by the the beetle body and I just do this, like, it's fine. If I try to, like, grip it like a bowstring, then it works, then it like, feels better. But that's like way beyond how this blaster is meant to be operated, which is, you know, holding the grip and priming this thing two-fingered like a regular vintage blaster. So, yeah, it's... ergonomics leave a lot to be desired. And I think it's because they were really trying to nail the shape of this, like, it's a bug, but it's got a blaster in it. It's not like a lot of the other Max Force blasters where it's like, it's a combination of a blaster and an animal. Like the Eagle Eye and the Laser Fang and the Sawtooth. This is just like, this is a bug that's got a blaster built into it. Like, that's why it has no trigger. It's a pullback and release. That's why it has such a flip-out grip that is horrifically uncomfortable. So, what can be done to alleviate that? Well, obviously, you could just like attach a grip down here and then put foam around this. But that would be, you know, extensive, heavy modification of a vintage blaster. And while I personally I don't care what people say about me modding the blasters I mod, some people do want to keep the integrity and the collector's value of vintage blasters. And if this is a piece that's just going to sit on your shelf and rot, then yeah, you don't need to care about ergonomics. Because if it's just going to be a shelf rotter, then why does ergonomics matter? Alright. And in my experience, it's a fun blaster. I love the gimmick of the little buggy parts opening. It's very fun. And The fact that it's a single-shot blaster doesn't sway me too much, because everything was a single-shot blaster back in the 90s. Like, there were very few blasters that held more than one shot before having to reload. And they either used a proprietary clip or a chain and had to use mega darts. So, you didn't have much in terms of, like, multi-barreled blasters, except for maybe the Ratchet Blast, and that was it. Until, like, the late 90s and early 2000s when they started making the full-auto air blasters. And just the air blasters in general. But, yeah. Now, it's speculation time. If I were in the throne of John Hasbro, or John Kenner, well, no, Kenner doesn't exist anymore. It would be John Hasbro. And I were to bring back the Stinging Scarab and make a Stinging Scarab 2.0, I would, of course, trade the post out for an actual sealed barrel, and I would give it an actual grip that doesn't fold in, and I would give it a trigger, so I could just pull this back, and it stay back, and the wings and legs stay open, and then, you know, when I pull the trigger and fire the blaster, it's not only more stable and a lot easier to aim, but then, you know, the wings and legs, they snap back like that, and it would be a lot cooler, in my opinion, if this was like an actual, like, regular prime and fire springer rather than a pull back and release springer, but whatever. And yeah, that should be everything to cover in terms of the Stinging Scarab. If you did enjoy this video, then please do leave a like and subscribe and comment your favorite Max Force blaster, and I might get it in the future. Currently I'm working on filling out the Cyber Strike series, because that is my favorite vintage series. And I'm also probably going to buy like a bajillion Roto Tracks at some point, because that is my favorite vintage blaster. So, yeah. If you want to see me fire a Roto Track with an absurdly long chain, you know what to do. And yeah. I will see you all in the next one. Until then, take care.